So, if you're watching this, I'm guessing you've had one of those days. You know the one, where your mind feels like a web browser with way too many tabs open, and you're just running a marathon with absolutely no finish line in sight. If that's you, then you are in exactly the right place. Let's think of the next few minutes as more than just an explainer. Think of it as a guided pause. It's a chance for you to catch your breath and find your footing again. Yeah. Does this feel familiar? That kind of mental fog, right? The exhaustion that even a huge cup of coffee just can't seem to cut through. It's that feeling that you've poured every last drop of yourself into your work, and now the tank is just empty. And look, this isn't just you being tired. It's a really clear sign that your mental reserves are getting seriously low. But you know what? Here's the good news. That tank isn't broken. Not at all. It just needs a refill. And we can actually start that process together, right here, right now. Our goal for the next few minutes is super simple, to guide you back to a place of inner stillness. So, let's begin. Okay, first things first. Let's get to know what we're actually dealing with. Understanding why our minds get so tangled up is the absolute first step to gently untangling them. And this is so important. This isn't some personal failing on your part. It's just a completely natural response to the crazy pressures of modern work. Here's a really key insight. Stress almost never lives in the present moment. It really thrives when our mind gets stuck in this time-traveling loop, replaying a mistake from this morning over and over, or anxiously pre-playing a deadline that's still a day away. Our body is right here, but our mind, it's literally anywhere but here. And this metaphor just says it all, doesn't it? Every single worry, every replay conversation, it's just another layer of noise in that mental room. And pretty soon, it gets so loud in there that finding even a tiny moment of silence feels completely impossible. So how do we start to turn down that volume? Well, you might be surprised, but we're going to begin not with the mind, but with the body. Your own physiology is the fastest, most direct tool you have to send a signal straight to your brain that says, hey, it's time to calm down. Okay, this is your emergency first aid kit, the 4-4-6 breath. Now that longer exhale, that's the secret sauce. Let's actually try one full cycle together. Right now, wherever you are, just get comfortable. Let's go. Inhale through your nose for 4. 3, 2, 1. Now just gently hold that breath for 4. 3, 2, 1. And now a long, slow exhale through your mouth for 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Seriously, just 1 minute of this can start to shift your entire body out of that fight or flight mode and into a state of rest. And what you're seeing here is literally the message you're sending. The science behind this is fascinating. This kind of breathing stimulates something called the vagus nerve, which is basically the main highway for your body's relaxation response. So with every single long exhale, you are physically telling your nervous system, the emergency is over, you are safe. And it's the same idea with movement. Mental stress often gets trapped in our bodies as physical tension. So if you feel your mind just spinning its wheels at your desk, the absolute quickest way to break that cycle is to simply move. Go for a little walk, do a quick stretch, anything to release that stored up energy. All right, so with the body feeling a little bit calmer, we can now turn our attention to the mind. Our second toolkit isn't about trying to stop your thoughts, because let's be real, that's impossible. It's about changing your relationship with them so they no longer have control over you. Here's the paradox that trips so many of us up. When a stressful thought pops into your head, our first instinct is to fight it, to shove it away. But what happens is that struggle just gives the thought more power. It's kind of like being in quicksand. The more you fight and struggle, the deeper you sink. So this is the alternative, and it's such a powerful reframe. Instead of being in the storm of your thoughts, you become the observer of the storm. Just imagine you are the big, wide-open sky. And your thoughts, they're just clouds passing through. You can notice them, you can acknowledge them, and then you just let them drift by. This just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the fighter, all tense, engaged, and actually creating more stress. But on the right, you have the observer, calm, detached. The shift in language is so subtle, but it's a game changer. Instead of, I have to stop worrying, it becomes, I notice I'm having a worried thought. That tiny little bit of space you create, that's where you get all your power back. This whole practice is called acceptance. And it's really important to know, acceptance does not mean you like the stress. Not at all. It just means you stop wasting all your precious energy fighting the reality that it's here right now. Giving yourself permission to simply feel it without judgment
is what allows that emotion to move through you and eventually lose its grip. Okay, our final toolkit is all about being proactive. It's about consciously curating your mental space, just like you'd curate a physical room, to stop the noise from getting so loud in the first place. It's about playing offense instead of just defense.
When your mind is just overflowing, you need an outlet. Think of journaling like a pressure release valve. The physical act of getting those swirling thoughts out of your head and down onto a piece of paper with no filter, no judgment, it externalizes them. And all of a sudden, they feel less like a part of you and more like something you can actually look at and manage.
And finally, let's talk about what you're feeding your mind. Because just like your food diet affects your body, your information diet totally affects your mental state. I mean, look at the contrast here. On the left, you've got all the typical drains, like doom scrolling. And on the right, all the inputs that actually replenish us. It really just brings up a simple but super important question. Today, are you feeding your mind peace or are you feeding it pressure? So we've gone through our 3 toolkits: using your body to ground yourself, observing your thoughts without judgment, and curating your mental space. Now, let's bring it all home. This right here, this might be the single most important takeaway from our whole time together. We often think that calm is something we have to go find out there somewhere, on a vacation or maybe in a new job. But what this reminds us is that true, sustainable calm is something you create on the inside. It's a skill you can practice and a space you can always come back to, no matter what kind of chaos is happening outside. And this whole journey, it doesn't start with some massive life overhaul. You don't need to book a week-long retreat. It all begins with just one conscious breath, one thought that you choose to just watch float by instead of wrestling it to the ground. One moment where you decide to step away from the screen and just look out the window. Real calm isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in a series of these small, powerful choices day after day. And so as we wrap up our little guided session here, I'm going to leave you with this one question to carry with you into the rest of your day. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. What is the one small moment of quiet that you will intentionally create for yourself? Because that is where it all begins.